3 days or 4 days to come back and be sent back.
Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, the immigration officials have their telephones with them and their laptops with them. They have no way of
And
communicating.
sometimes they keep the passports.
Wow, that's really strange. So in the meantime, if they're detained, Attorney Golan, is there a chance that they can call for an immigration expert to help them out? Not really.
Usually they cannot call,
I
but
see.
the relative who is waiting outside
Yes.
will call an immigration lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And the immigration lawyer will ask why, what happened, what kind of questions, what answers were given, okay? And maybe the immigration lawyer will just put his finger on the problem and say, look, this is useless, this is a hopeless case.
I see. Mm-hmm. Have you had many situations like this, Attorney Golan, when relatives would call you for an emergency case?
Sometimes.
Yes, but there's really nothing that can be done?
In most cases, there is nothing, but many times what we can do is we tell them, let your cousin or nephew or whatever go back as soon as possible, and we will deal with the issue after they are back home.
I see.
If it was a complete mistake, misidentification, misunderstanding, okay, we will deal with it after they are back home.
I see.
There's no point in trying to deal with it while they are in detention, and which is not a very pleasant situation.
Right. Once again, we are...
Especially
Yes.
not detention at the airport.
Yes. Once again, we are on Immigration Update on the air by International News Media, and we're talking to Attorney Jack Golan, whose telephone number is 213-383-3222 for your initial consultation. That's free initial consultation. Now, with regards to the entry, when they're asked questions, will they also be asked how much money they have with them?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you mean like they have to have with them some cash, or can they say they have money in their credit cards or in their banks?
Look, they can say whatever they want, but it has to be, everything has to make sense.
Uh-huh.
If you arrive in the United States and you say you want to stay 4 weeks and you have $12 in your pocket, okay, then you have a problem.
Yeah. It's interesting because many relatives sometimes, it's a gift for a relative back home, and then they pay for the fare and they say, come and visit and stay with us. We will pay for everything, like a help for someone who's not rich to come and visit. But they will stay with relatives and the relatives will pay for all their expenses. So that's not a good reason.
Well, again, what does it mean the relative will pay for all expenses? How much?
Uh-huh.
How much? And what will you eat? Every 3 times a day, steamed rice? Maybe once a week fish? What will you?
So you have to be able to, and of course, I'm sure that's one of the basic questions asked at the U.S. Embassy also, correct, Attorney Golan? And show documentation
Yes.
that they have enough funds. Usually, how are they given a multiple visa upon entry if they answer the questions correctly and they think that they're really coming here for tourist purposes? Is it a multiple visa?
Giving the correct answers where? At the embassy or at the port?
No, at the port of entry when you come in and you ask questions.
At the port of entry,
yes.
you cannot get multiple entry.
Oh, I see.
At the port of entry, you get only admission. We call it admission for this visit.
I see. So it's the embassy that gives you the type of visa.
The type of visa, whether it is single entry or multiple entry, is determined by the American consul.
So when there's multiple entry, this person can come in and out as frequently, correct? That's multiple entry.
But again, it must make sense. The question is, are you a tourist?
Mm-hmm.
Are you coming every weekend to visit Disneyland?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is it true sometimes some people say that they're stricter on certain types of nationalities. Is that correct? Like they're sometimes very discriminatory. Is that something that's happening?
Yes, and it has to do with a pattern that the immigration officer recognizes at the port of entry. It's a pattern. Is because there are waves of people who are coming to the United States and as tourists, but with an intention to stay. And this happened by waves from different countries.
I see.
Okay. Not recently, a certain wave appeared for people from Ukraine and Russia. Okay, because of the war.
That's right.
Okay. And at other times there is all of a sudden a wave of visitors with intention to stay from some other country.
So due to these situations, because of the war between Ukraine and Russia, so are they more lenient because they know that these people need humanitarian assistance?
The United States agreed to accept about 100,000 temporary refugees from the Ukraine if they applied the American embassies